screen is working because whatever color you're wearing. Don't wear pink next time.
Good question. Yeah, I saw him wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she was there when it left. Rope was dragging her out. Okay. I'm going, still going to the bucket, so take your time. Yeah. Yeah, they'll be there. Supposed to have what Wednesday. They have yeah. Going on. Let's see how you take all the towel down. We see this week when that my dad find out for sure.
Step around again.
That's very fun.
How things out in the world out there in the country.
Good right now.
Good right now.
Same old, same old.
I came back that way Saturday night because my daughter went to a Friday night. And then on Friday, I thought I'd never get
Oh, Saturday night?
No, Friday night.
Friday night. No, I went home Friday night. I came home Saturday night like 12:30, 4:01.
It was like 10
I was
o'clock.
like, oh my God. It's been good.
Yeah, and I'm like, drive over and down. And
Would you like more ideas?
they were terrible. Right now,
They're everywhere at that time because of, you know.
Hello, sir.
I don't think I wanted to get in my car. But it looked like it wanted a little bit of.
I'm right, sir.
Tell you what.
Well, you come this way.
Happily, I've got a fully charged battery, but I do have enough battery just in case.
You doing all right?
Yes, otherwise fine. Are you want to talk tonight about the process for getting someone to Dr. Model? Was that too soon?
It's a resolution,
Uh-huh.
and to my knowledge, that's the only thing I've heard.
I know there'll be the committee has to take nominations and do it with the security.
That's all I've heard at this point. But you're doing okay.
Yes, thank you. Yourself?
There she is.
Check, check, mic check.
Good evening. The time is 7 p.m. and I would like to call to order the Monday, November 9th, 2020 meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have 7 of our 9 members physically present, so we have a quorum. One of our members, Ms. Florence Reynolds, has asked to join the meeting by phone. According to our board policy, we need a motion to permit Ms. Reynolds to join the meeting by phone. We have a motion by Mr. Worsham, a second by Ms. Bradley. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ms. Reynolds? Yes. Okay, just wanted to make sure you could hear us. The agenda was included in your board information. Under informational items, I would like to add roofing update. It's already on the agenda? Yeah. That's what we added. Okay. Okay. So it's already been added. So is there another board member who would like to add an item to the agenda?
I would like to speak in closed session, student matter.
Okay, so Mr. Smith, in closed session concerning a student matter. Is there another board member who would like to add an item to the agenda? Could we have a motion then to approve the agenda as amended? We have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Bunn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes of our regular October 12th meeting and the minutes for our special call meeting on October the 19th were included in your board information documents. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve?
So be it.
We have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Reynolds. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You might notice that tonight, board members are wearing commemorative pins to honor Dr. Carolyn Motlin, one of our school board members who passed away several weeks ago. We also have a motion, a resolution included in our board packets to honor Dr. Motlin. However, we do need a motion to approve the resolution. We have a motion by Ms. Bradley, a second by Ms. Bunn. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I'd like at this time to read the resolution. This whereas the Southampton County School Board and the broader Southampton County public school community lost a valued member on October 21st, 2020 with the death of Carolyn Carter Motlin. And whereas Carolyn Carter Motlin was a tireless advocate of equitable quality education for all students, and whereas Carolyn Carter Motlin served on the Southampton County School Board from 2014 until her death, working diligently to support and promote the mission, goals, and values of Southampton County Public Schools. And whereas Carolyn Carter Motlin represented the Southampton County School Board on the Southeastern Cooperative Education Program CSEP Board and on the Southampton High School Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee. And whereas Carolyn Carter Motlin's calm demeanor, informed commentary, and thoughtful actions will be sorely missed. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Southampton County School Board hereby honors the memory of Carolyn Carter Motlin and expresses its condolences to her family. Be it further resolved that this resolution be included in the minutes of the Southampton County School Board as a permanent record of the high esteem held for Carolyn Carter Motlin, and that a suitable copy of this resolution be presented to the Motlin family, adopted this 9th day of November 2020. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Bsda Academy Awards. The Virginia School Boards Association recognizes board members for their work in improving boardsmanship through attending Bsda meetings, conferences, board development, and training. Now, all of the members of the Southampton County School Board participate in these Bsda activities and in other activities designed to promote effective boardsmanship. So Dr. Shannon has further comments to make about the Bsda Awards.
Good evening, everyone. In conjunction with the Virginia School Boards Association, we are pleased to honor our school board members for their participation in the Bsda Academy program. We are honoring our school board members for their commitment to the students and families of Southampton County. We are proud of them for their effective school board governance, and we look forward to many, many years of working with our school board members. Our school board members have been given pins by the Bsda in
Southampton County School Board recognizes the importance of receiving input on issues affecting students and staff in our school system. Indeed, our board policy states that members of the community are invited and encouraged to attend meetings of the Southampton County School Board to observe its deliberations. During the comment period, board members will not comment, engage in dialogue, answer questions, or take actions. The public comment period is the time for citizens to share with board members their viewpoints. According to board policy, the board chairperson is responsible for the orderly conduct of the meeting. So to ensure an orderly process, our board asks that those wishing to address the board adhere to the following guidelines. 1, individuals wishing to speak should sign up for public comment before the start of the meeting. 2, the time limit for each individual to speak is 3 minutes. We have a visible timer to help speakers know how much time they have. Also, as chairperson, I will inform speakers when they reach their time limit. Speakers cannot transfer their opportunity to speak to others. And finally, speakers should address all comments to the board, not to the superintendent or to other audience members. I will call forward to those speakers in the order in which they signed up. So our first speaker is Marguerite Cross.
Good evening. I'm a parent of a senior at Southampton High School, and I have a couple of questions for you tonight. We currently attend school for 3 hours a day. When we were in school, we went from 7:45 to 2:45. That's high school hours. Early dismissal was around 12, I believe. So I'm not sure why early dismissal today was at 10:30. We had 2 hours of instruction time total. We've been worried that with just 3 hours of instruction that our students aren't getting all of what they need for the full year. And then we dropped by an hour for 2 days this week. I understand having early dismissals are on the calendar, and I understand what they're used for. But from 8:30 to 11:30 is already less time in the classes than we did early dismissals in person. It just doesn't add up to me and make any sense, and hopefully that somebody can explain it. When we asked about this, we were just told that was the decision by the division. So the other issue was communication for Paul D students. I asked Ms. Bell at the beginning of the year how we were going to be notified if our students that are enrolled in electricity and welding didn't have class. Currently, they are in person and have to provide their own transportation, and I personally don't see the need to waste gas and time driving to Franklin if we don't have class. As my husband says, every time we put that car on the road, there's a liability involved. So she spoke with Ms. Waxman. Ms. Waxman wasn't quite sure, and she said she'd have to speak with the teachers. So usually on early dismissal day, they wouldn't attend because of school transportation and the time it takes to get them to Paul D and back and have class, and it just doesn't all pan out. So this morning, not knowing what to do, I sent my kid to welding and said, if you have class, great. If not, turn around and come on back home. We'll put you in the field of work. So I checked my app to see if he made it, and he did, and he stayed. But the frustration of not knowing what's happening when he leaves my house just stresses me out. When class gets canceled, I have to trust that my kid's telling me the truth. We all know, teenagers, how they are at school. But anyway, no one notifies us. In the past, the office would call and let you know that your child didn't have class and were they allowed to leave school. And I realize they aren't providing transportation, but someone needs to be aware whether the classes are happening for these high school kids. I feel there's a breakdown in communication between the college and us. If we have a partnership and relationship with them, then their communication needs to happen coming from the college end on things. I walked in tonight and Ms. Bell did tell me that as she saw me, she said, Ms. Cross, I'm not sure if you know, but you won't be having class on Wednesday due to Veterans Day for welding. And thank you, that was appreciative. But it's just been frustrating for this whole semester, not knowing if Lane's telling me the truth or not, whether or not class is happening. I have to trust him, that's all I got. But it would be nice to be notified. Communication, again, is a key thing.
Thank you. The next speaker is George Collins.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off by saying thank you. I have asked several times for more transparency from this board, and I feel like the public got that to some degree on October 19th. It was very nice to see board members having an active discussion with each other. Board members expressed concerns, asked questions, made recommendations. It was very nice to see board members asking questions of the superintendent answering the questions, and even being as candid to say she didn't have an answer when she didn't have an answer. I think the public really appreciated that, and I would encourage you to continue to do that with all of your meetings. That is what we've been asking for. That's what we've been wanting to see from y'all, is do your business right in front of us. The whole world's watching that. We want to see it. The second topic I wanted to talk about was the numbers of COVID-19 cases that were presented at the October 19th meeting. The Virginia Department of Health reports numbers in 3 ways. Numbers of new cases per 100,000 in the last 14 days, the 7-day average of daily new cases, and the exact number of cases reported on that day. Southampton County has a population of 18,000 people. So therefore, the numbers that are reported per 100,000 will always be skewed higher. That's mathematical fact. The reason that is done is so that large metropolitan areas can compare their numbers with each other. But us having a lower population than 100,000, our numbers will always be skewed higher. So I wanted to see what the numbers were on October 19th. And I went to the website today and I looked. And October 19th, it was reported in this meeting that there were 600 and I think it was 20 cases per 100,000, something in that area is what was reported. The 7-day average was 12. The actual number of cases reported on October 19th, 0. So I said, well, maybe that was a good day. We didn't have any cases that day. On October the 18th, there were 14 cases reported, and on October the 20th, there were 6 cases reported. So as you can see, 20 is a lot different than over 600. So I ask you in the future, when you're looking at numbers and you're making decisions, would you please look at the actual numbers here in the county? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Vicki Phelps.
Hello, my name is Vicki Phelps. I have a junior and a 9th grader in high school. I have some similar issues that Margaret Cross identified. The first one is I did not understand the 2 hours, the 8:30 to 10:30, as being a half day. My kid comes to school now, thank you very much, my special ed, on Monday and Wednesdays from 8 to 12. I consider that a half a day. It's always been a half a day. So I was informed on Thursday that he was not going to come to school on Monday, so I had to rearrange again, and that he was going to log in from 8:30 to 10:30, which we've never done in his special ed. So I had to figure out how, when I'm at work, my special ed kid is going to sit at home and log on from 8:30 to 10:30, and why that's a half a day, I'm confused. I did call Ms. Bell, because I was very confused of that the whole thing. I just thought that his teacher needed them to log on and then needed to do her afternoon sessions, but Ms. Bell clarified that no, everybody was logging on from 8:30 to 10:30. Once again, I don't understand 2 hours being a half a day. Even on a regular day, it would be, the teachers would work 7 hours minimum. A half of 7 is not 2. So I really don't understand that at all. The Pauldy camp is also an issue. I called Ms. Bell on Friday trying to find out if my child was going to have electricity. She said that she would call Ms. Waxman, and Ms. Waxman was supposed to be calling her back. Ms. Bell did get back with me on Friday and told me that she was still waiting to hear from Ms. Waxman. But today, of course, I did not know whether my child had electricity. He went to school, he had electricity, which confused me also because normally on a half a day, they don't have electricity. So it's very frustrating as a parent for all of these changes to be constantly happening. We are trying to be flexible, we are trying to be patient, but it's a lot. It's a lot to expect of us constantly rearranging our schedules and our lives. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the speakers who addressed the board this evening. We do not have any matters from previous meeting, so the next item is the financial report and payment of bills. Dr. Shannon.
Yes, Mrs. Clark, our Director
School Board and all present tonight. If I can bring your attention to the preliminary expenditure report for the month of October. There have been no new appropriations so far this year. Therefore, our budget remains at $33,400,779. We have spent $7,821,718 through the end of October. This leaves us a balance of $25,579,60. We have spent 23.42% of our operating budget so far. Are there any questions or concerns tonight? If not, the bill list for October is attached for your approval. Thank you.
We have a motion by Mr. Pope. Do we have a second? Second. A second by Mr. Worsham to pay the bills as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is an update on the Virginia High School League. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, the Virginia High School League has created a handbook that consists of guidelines for schools to utilize when they make the decision whether or not to return to play. These guidelines consist of guiding principles that categorize risk as well as provide recommendations on mitigation strategies to minimize exposure to COVID-19. Mrs. Bell, high school principal, Mr. Brock, high school assistant principal, Mr. Johnson, high school assistant principal, and Coach Mason, the high school athletic director. They work with other coaches on developing a plan for Southampton High School students to return to sports. Tonight, Mrs. Bell and Coach Mason, our athletic director, will make that presentation to our school board. Thank you all.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, school board members, and all present. Tonight we stand before you to share with you the information that we have received from the Virginia High School League. And in your red folder that you had at your seat, there are two documents that we have placed in there for you. These documents can also be found on your board docs. And they are the Southampton Activities and Athletics Reopening Plan and the 2020 Guidelines for Return to Participation. The purpose of us standing before you tonight is to gain guidance from you all as to how, when, and if we will be able to return to participation. And the plans in your document there discuss the safety and practical approaches to mitigation strategies for us to be able to return. The mitigation guidelines are based on information from the CDC, the National Federation of High Schools, the Virginia High School League, and your Sports Medicine Advisory Committee. And I spelled out the National Federal High School Association, but you can see it's NFHS and SMACUS for your Sports Medicine Advisory Committee. At this time, Coach Mason will take over and present the information to you.
Good evening. As members of the Virginia High School League Region 3 and the Tri-Rivers District, as we talk and discuss and come up with a decision, that will be communicated with those groups of people to be able to make sure that everybody's on the same page of how we will move forward here at Southampton. The Virginia High School League has adjusted the sports schedules. You can see that the first season, the winter season, will start in December. They've moved the our typical fall season until mid-springtime, which starts in February. Then our third season, which will be our typical normal spring season, has been moved until April. And again, that's to move everything back to give some time to be able to make some adjustments. The documents that I would like to review tonight addresses plans and guidelines for if and when we are able to restart our athletic activities program here at Southampton High School. This first document, again, it's in your the red folder, is our Southampton Athletic Reopening Plan that includes protocols from the Virginia High School League Phase 3 documents. This is very similar to our school health plan that we've all been working on for the last several months. It mirrors very much the same information. Is in this same phase 3. And again, something that we would use here at Southampton High School. Some of the protocols, just the highlights in this phase 3, the one same as the pre-participation evaluation. All students, if we do have any type of athletics, we still have to have an updated sports physical. The facility cleaning would follow the same protocols that we would do here at school, but it would include the gym, the locker room, the training room, and the weight room. The entrance and exits, just like anything where we have one way in and one way out, and this would be included for our practices. If we had a practice, if we had workouts, and then we would include many of those things, same things with our games. And then the key thing that has not changed throughout the entire process is a 250 maximum person capacity. That would include practices, workouts, and games. And that includes all players, coaches, team officials, team administration would be included in that 250. And that has not changed in this whole process for the Virginia High School League. Also, if we had any type of practices, conditioning, workouts, it would be a daily screening, just like we do when we come in the building every day. Face coverings must be worn at all times, except for those students that are actively involved. They would have to have coaches, and anybody else that's not actively involved would have to have a face covering on. And then the transportation part, we would have to look at the same principles that we talk about with student transportation, but also include activity buses and game transportation would have to be factored into that. The second document that's in your book that just came out last week is the 2020-2021 Guidelines for Return to Participation. This has been completed by the Virginia High School League, and it's been approved by the governor and the Virginia Department of Health. Tom Dolan and Dr. Hahn up at the VHSL has worked very hard trying to put something together to get as many people involved in sports as possible. This litigation guidelines, and the key that they have stressed at that level is all guidelines that are used in this book must be followed by all schools that participate, that choose to participate. And it addresses general strategies such as face coverings, locker rooms, transportation, and cleaning and disinfecting of athletic equipment. And then the second part of that spends a lot of time is how they are modifying each sport to try to make it as safe as possible. For example, in the gym, you wouldn't sit in a typical at a basketball game. You wouldn't sit in chairs. You would sit on the first row, 6 foot apart. Everybody else would be spread out on the other side. There's just little things that they have modified to try to make it as safe as possible. And that's the biggest thing in that. And again, as Bill said, this is a living fluid document that continually is ever changing. So again, it could change from week to week, to month, the same issues that we deal with trying to get kids back here at school. Any questions or? Okay, and then the last thing, these are just some nice charts that I had that I think they look good up on the PowerPoint. Dr. Shamble. So anyway, so anyway, they're included in the plan, but they do look good. These would be like posters and things that we would have that we would put around it that just deal with different things. And again, just reminding that we would be hanging around throughout the gym area, and that would just. And then this is, of course, this will be the most important thing, that coaches would monitor and check in each kid, and we would, of course, use our temperature check. But again, we would have each person, if we did have some type of condition or workout or tryout, each day coaches would be responsible for, so we would know who's here, just for contract tracing and all that goes in. Same idea that we would use for our school plan. It mirrors that same type of idea. Any questions or?
Any questions, board members?
So what does the rest of our region do? Are most of them planning to return to winter sports with December? Is that what the plan is?
So today, we actually attended 2 separate meetings today. At the regional meeting that I attended, there are some schools that are still going to participate, and then we have some schools who are not. But again, this is a change in
Sussex and Surrey are not doing anything this first season. Some schools are looking at it based on one season at a time, where you make the decision, the first one no-go, then as it goes through, you can add to it. Parkview, which is Mecklenburg County Public Schools, got notification they're not doing anything winter or fall. They may do spring. Greensville, Brunswick are meeting tonight, just as we are. Did I miss anybody? Franklin is supposed to be playing, but I don't know exactly how that, I haven't got the exact answer on that. Did I miss anybody?
And Windsor.
Windsor is, they're in a hybrid in our way.
And from talking to other schools, like Richmond City schools are not doing, none of their schools are doing anything. So it's kind of hit or miss with who's doing and who's not doing.
So we're looking to start back in December?
We're looking for guidance from you all as to how.
But
when,
this is
where.
what you all would like.
Well, the superintendent's gonna make a recommendation.
Okay.
So if we were to look at, say we wanted to start in the fall, it looks like that season is February. So if we tried to do it in conjunction with it, we came back second semester, we wanted to try to do sports at the same time. I guess practice for fall would be start a month ahead of time, we bring it back.
We do have to keep in mind that we have to allow those kids an opportunity to get in some type of shape. At this
Right.
point, our students have not been in any type of organized play since we left school in March.
Right, and so that's, I was kind of asking that question, that's what I'm saying. So if that season starts February 15th, how far ahead of time would they need to be in practice?
I would say sometime after getting back from the holidays to give them a chance to, because actually football will probably, football will be the toughest one, well, basketball too, but football would have to be a lot of conditioning to get to that point to be able to. And in the game, and anything with games is 60%, so you're only basically playing 60% of a normal schedule. But the key, one of the concerns throughout is being able to condition, to get those kids back into some condition before they really start, before they push it hard.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Dr. Champ, you want to?
So, we've had quite a bit of discussion about this, Coach Mason, Ms. Bell, and I. And, we basically have reached a consensus that, if it's not safe enough for students to attend for school, then it's not safe enough for them to play. So my recommendation would be that we forego participation in winter sports, and then that we, look at possibly participating in the fall sports season in conjunction with, us possibly returning back to school the beginning of February.
And I guess that's where I was going with that question is, how soon would we need it, that's a February 15th start date, when those kids need to get back in here, any ahead of them starting school in January. And that may be a good way to even start bringing some of the kids back in, we needed to bring any of them in a little bit early in December to start having some activity within the building, to give us a chance to test that protocols, cleaning and disinfecting, if we had any of that activity going on a little bit early, just because I knew we'd have to condition this given the change here.
But I think the recommendation not to bring any students back in January. I think that's the superintendent's recommendation. So even conditioning wouldn't start until January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have the superintendent's recommendation that Southampton County Public Schools will not participate in the fall sports, and that we will, in the winter, okay, in the winter sports, and that we will bring students back for conditioning starting in January, and then we will attempt to participate in the next group of sports. So do we have a motion to support the superintendent's recommendation or not?
So,
We have a motion by Ms. Bond. We have a second by Ms. Bradley to regarding returning to sports. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then we have approved the superintendent's recommendation concerning the sports schedule. The next item on the agenda is the crisis plan. Dr. Shannon?
So tonight, Ms. Hicks, the interim director of human resources, will present the crisis plan to our school board. The crisis management plan provides steps and processes on how to handle crises and who to contact in an event, in the event of crisis. Ms. Hicks?
Good evening, Chairman Goodwin, Chairman, board members, and everyone on this side. Before you, in your packet, you will see a PowerPoint, the school crisis emergency management plan, as well as the actual crisis manual that has been bound before you. And this is a living document that we have that we must review and revise as needed year after year. So tonight, I will not go through, Ms. Bradley, and read all of this to you, but I will give you a brief summary as to what is in the document. The purpose of this crisis management is to establish a framework for emergency preparedness, how we will respond to emergencies, and the recovery of it, and also to ensure the safety of all members of Southampton County community. And in so, we will implement a safety plan with the collaboration of the public safety and public health officials. So we take the entire community. The organization of this plan is the critical incidents, and we have medical emergencies. The critical incidents are the natural and technological disasters, severe thunderstorms and weathers, fires, hazardous material spills, school shootings, hostage and kidnapping, threats involving weapons, explosions, and criminal activities, such as fugitives around our schools or in the nearing neighborhood, and law enforcement that has to come in to protect us. Energy of death or of a student or school personnel on or off campus. The medical emergencies, cardiac arrest, seizures, serious illnesses or conditions, drug overdoses, playground accidents, and serious athletic injuries. And if I did that on purpose, I did not skip a page, but I wanted you to know what the critical incidents and the medical emergencies were, and then go back and look at why we have it that way. What is critical? That will require outside agencies to come into this area to assist us to execute this plan, because we're not equipped to go out and chase like the police chasing someone or handle a tornado by ourselves or any type of public or critical incidents of threats of weapons. However, we are able to handle with the local emergency medical team medical emergencies that might require the nurse, such as getting hurt on the playground, such as an illness such as a medical condition or heart attack, this type of thing. So the framework of this plan is that it takes all of us to know what we're doing, to be prepared so that all can be safe, whether it be a tornado or a pandemic or what have you. We must work together. And the organizational plan that I read earlier, that's what we have to do and how we need to do it. Mr. Johnson, our Southampton County Administrator, his plan is in correlation with our plan because we're all working together. His plan has stated that natural hazards and technological hazards located and identified in Southampton County are floods, earthquakes, and tornadoes. And also, we already know that the technological hazards, if anything happens, our number two mitigations and prevention things that we know will be something to be concerned about. School-specific hazards. This information also came from Mr. Johnson as well as the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Service, stating that this area, you salute the officer back there, is very low in crime in reference to students in this community. We have 2 school resource officers, and also that Southampton County Sheriff's Department, in relationships to schools and coming to the schools, is also a low rate as well. And we're excited about that. So, but and yet in the plan, we still have things we could do to cover that. We know the format. Now we have to be prepared. What are we going to do? We must have a team. The Division Crisis Management Team, under the leadership of our superintendent and the physical safety officials of Southampton County. And there is also an emergency manager. And reading around, we have the community relations, facilities operations, finance, technology, transportation, instruction, and student services. And everyone will know their role according to the plan. As these things happen, we'll come together and know exactly what to do under the leadership of the superintendent or be it under the leadership of the public safety officials. Because we do have those 2 different types of incidents. Also in this plan, not only is there a division plan, each school will have and develop their own plan under the leadership of the principal as well as who he has designated to work with him or her. And they're comprised of teachers, guidance counselors, school nurse, and school psychologists. And each individual is assigned within the incident command system a particular role. And then after the event has occurred and everything is whatever the results would be, a debriefing will be conducted at the conclusion of each crisis to conduct an evaluation and update as to what was done, how it was done, and what could have been done better. And also in this plan, we have a list of specific things that must be utilized and purchased within the school and the community to make this all happen. Our incident emergency response protocol is evacuation and off-site procedure. Yes, we already have locations. If we have to evacuate this building and go to another location for safety, it has already been designed. And all of the surrounding schools as well will have somewhere to go. Recovery procedure, response procedures, that's all located inside of the document, step by step. All you have to do is read the area of concern and follow the steps. And of course, we have the appropriate tools. Throughout this plan, the key thing for this plan I'd like to express to the board is to be prepared, follow the procedures, and ask questions. Thank you.
Any questions from Ms. Hicks?
Yes, I have one question. Is there any special insignias or badges that the crisis management team can put on so that when they speak, people will know that they speak with the authority of the crisis team?
Right, now from the different components that you have different from the police, from social services, or from the county administrator. They will have their particular things that they wear. As far as Southampton County public schools, we usually have just our regular signers and our shirts and things like that. And that's a good idea to have something really that says crisis team. I'm here to help with that. That's a good idea.
And I'd like to add, we don't have shirts that say crisis team, but we have passed out neon vests and neon jackets that many of us keep in the trunks of our cars or what have you. And then a number of the leaders, when school was in last year when we were in session. You know, now that we're not in session, we have not really done that. That's why we're bringing the plan up now, so that we are making, as we're making preparations to start school, that, you know, we'll have this person foremost in front of us as we get ready to begin. Because we plan on starting hopefully January or February, so we wanted to get the plan approved.
I agree with Mr. Smith, the concept of having a desk or something readily available that whoever is showing up is taking charge, who's in that leadership role, probably is something that you could just keep at each school that there's, you know, within, like at the hospital, we have a disaster kit type thing that you go to, and within that is the 6 or 8 desks that you pass out to whoever is taking on that role while you're there. So you could just have one hand in each school pass out, as opposed to somebody making sure that they have it in trouble with that day or whatever. That way it takes them very easily up in line.
I agree. One of the reasons we did the trunk was because of the buses, you know.
I like that idea.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree with both.
And like for me, you know, I'm trying to get to every school, so I just try to keep it with me. It's in the trunk of my car now, and then we just put it on into the schools. But I do agree.
Additional questions?
Not a question, just a comment. Past couple of years, you know, we've had a couple of crises that have occurred. And, had it not been for a plan like this and adherence to a plan like this, we could have been in deep trouble. And I think the people who are responsible for reviewing this plan have done a good job. They've come up and they've been able to handle these situations as they need to be handled. That's a commendable job. And, I think everybody here needs to understand that that's just the way it is. This book is pretty well understood by those people. And as it's understood, they able to implement plans of action.
I will add, there was some discussion about how to handle a crises virtually. You know, like if a kid is home with their parents and they have a crisis, whether or not the school even plays any type of role. And we really decided that if the kid was home with their parents, you know, that they are the responsibility of their parents or what have you. However, if a teacher sees something while they're on Schoology or Zoom or something like that, that should not be occurring, as a number of teachers have seen throughout the nation, the teachers will, you know, call the local authorities or whatever they need to do to try to intervene on behalf of the school.
Additional questions? So this is an action item, so do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Worsham. A second by Ms. Bradley to approve the crisis plan. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. We're down to informational items. First informational item is the roof control services. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, most recently, we've had some questions or concerns regarding the routes at Southampton Middle School and Southampton High School. Mr. Melby, our coordinator of auxiliary services and transportation, has worked with roof control services on installing the roofs, really throughout the entire division to include Fresh Start Center now. And tonight I've asked Mr. Melby if he and Mr. Travis Bagley from Roof Control Services, if they would come and just speak with the board about our roofs and the status thereof.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin Board. As we've gone through the process last year of putting roofs on every one of our buildings, and here at the high school, it was like everybody else. And in the fact that when we get a report of anything that's out of the ordinary, if we have any leak reports, we show up, we inspect, we figure out what the cause is, and if it ends up being a roof leak, or we think that it's a roof leak, I get in touch with this guy. And so it's been a process, and we've worked together for the last year over any issues. And the roof that we're under right now, we're close to 200,000 square feet of roofing that was put on between here and the boat deck. So it's a so as problems come up, that's the biggest part of the warranty that RCS has done is the first 3 years of making sure that we're watertight, because that's when you're gonna find those problems in those first couple of years. So I'll turn it over to Travis, so he can kind of take you through any other questions and answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Travis Begley with Roof Control Services. I'm an operations manager. I was out here on this project when they probably recognized me without the mask, but I was out here almost every day of this project. So this place holds I'm proud of this place. I'm proud of this roof that we put on. I know the company's proud of it. So with that 20, the school district received a 20-year roof warranty for both projects altogether. The first 3 years of that 20 years are on the contractor, they're on us. And the reason being is that in the first 2 or 3 years, the first couple of freeze and thaw cycles, that's when anything that's going to break loose is going to break loose in those first few years. So the manufacturer makes sure that the installer is in charge of those first few years. And then at that point, the manufacturer comes in, does another inspection of the roof, and they'll take over the remaining years that are on the roof warranty. So again, like we've had here, I've inspected the roof several times. Inspected it pretty much all day today as well. We have a good game plan of what we need to do. We're going to have guys out here tomorrow as well. So we're going to go over the whole thing, the whole roof. We're going to have a lot of the problems we're having are the sealants that are, again, when you put a new roof on, we took a lot of weight off of this building. We tore it all the way down to the metal deck. So there was 2 built up hot tar and gravel roofs on it. So when we took that off, the metal decking takes a sigh of relief and everything moves around, and then we put our stuff on. So things are moving still. They appear to be, I'm noticing things that have stopped moving pretty much. The things that we fixed in the last couple of visits, they're staying together, they're staying tight. So I want to let you guys know that we're not going anywhere. And like I said, we're not some fly-by-night company. When we put this roof on, and we consider our roof due. So that's our plan. We're going to stick with you guys. If anybody has any questions, please.
Any questions for Mr. Begley or for the superintendent? Or for Mr. Melvin?
So whatever problems that we were having over in the VOTEC area, all that's, you have inspected all that and come up with a game plan
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get all that straightened out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we're going to actually, part of our stuff tomorrow, part of our detail tomorrow is, again, we're going to go from roof section to roof section, VOTEC, and I'm going to be with the boys, so we're going to come out, we're going to go roof section to roof section, we're going to check every caulk joint, every seam. It's part also with the warranty, the 20-year roof warranty that the school district received, there is a 3-year maintenance program. So once a year, we come out, we look at sealants, we look at pitch pockets, we look at all the things that the manufacturer, unfortunately, when the sealants and the pitch pockets and stuff, the manufacturer stops at that pitch pocket. That's everybody. So that 3 extra years with us on it as well is just, it's like belt and suspenders. So we'll be on top of it for years to come.
I'd like to say thank you for just coming to the school board meeting and talking with our school board members, and just letting everyone know that you are with us through the long haul and that you all do assume responsibility for your work. So thank you. We appreciate it.
I just really missed you guys, so I want to come back.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the instructional report. Dr. Sharon.
Yes, Mrs. Kelly Gillette will make a presentation to the board regarding the instructional report. Her instructional report will highlight some of the efforts of our staff to provide quality instruction and resources to our students, as well as training to each other and parents when appropriate. Mrs. Gillette?
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, board members and all present. Happy Monday. I do have the November instructional report for you. We're going to start with virtual learning. We'll look at some of the things that our administration and staff have done to enhance learning. We had on October 30th grade level meeting and content meetings where the staff reviewed the pacing guides for the first 9 weeks to determine mastery of content and any adjustments that needed to go into the second 9 weeks. They revised the pacing guides of the second 9 weeks to find the objectives that would best be taught virtually during this 9 weeks. They had created an assessment calendar for the second 9 weeks. They also used Handbook to create lessons, and the lessons will be consistent for each grade level and content. They discussed their formative assessments and how they're checking for understanding. And they also shared resources and ideas, techniques, and materials that have worked well for them the first 9 weeks of school. Also, we are providing individual student support for students that may need extra help or struggling or behind. We are bringing some students back into the building individually. We do have instructional coaches that we're starting. These persons will set times for students to meet with, either individually or in small groups, and they will look at missing work or work that students are struggling with, and they'll sit with the student one-on-one. When I say sit with, it will be through Schoology, and determine what the student needs and give them that. So any students that may have gotten behind in their work or have several missing assignments, they'll be able to help these students catch up and bring their grades up where needed. We're also continuing to provide our IT support to parents. We have parents call in to the number, and we have someone that takes down the message of what's going on. That person transfers it to one of our technology personnel, and they call the parents back and walk them through it. We also have students that call as well. We have IT support coaches where we have, if teachers are having problems with anything, we have IT people that go to them directly and sit down with them one-on-one and walk them through. We have iPads and MacBooks for teachers and students. We continue to hand out MiFis. And also, if there are any apps that teachers find that they want, technology is providing those apps for the teachers. And they can do that remotely from where they are. I'm excited about the next part. The technology team has come together and created Coffee PD on Fridays, professional development for our teachers. And you'll see the red ones are specifically with Schoology. And you'll see that the first one is Boot Camp by Shelley McHenry. And we looked at creating checklists for students to visually see assignments that were completed. Also learn how to create and employ rubrics to clearly set class expectations for all types of assignments and create shortcuts for grading. Also, we had Boot Camp for Assessments, where they learn tricks to create engaging assignments and expand activities that the students can do inside Schoology. Also using collaborative tools where they learn how to use these features. They have meaningful discussions and authentic engagement with the students in their virtual courses. Also making the most of Schoology conferences. So this is if they want to invite a guest, how to bring that about. Also helps them lay out structure for the virtual conference and routines in the sessions. Advanced features, and this we have ways to use options in Schoology assessments to create authentic and engaging activities, always pushing the bar. We have several staff in elementary, middle, and high school that came forward and presented to our staff. We had Elena Crowder, a librarian at the high school. She had a session where they learned how to get free resources for staff and students. We had Stephanie Whitehead, one of our IT. She helped deepen and explore the Seesaw app we have that communicates with students and parents. We had Jamie Elliott and Stephanie Whitehead did Nearpod, and we're just touching on the top of this, but it helps them present PowerPoints and has interactive videos and lessons that teachers can pull from. This next one, I wish Bill could stand up. Bill, I want you to say something about this one. He's so excited, and they're coming back too.
I think Kelly's more excited for me to talk about this than I am. So we have some really good reps from Apple in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're real lucky. And some of them we've been working with for a number of years. And before school started, I reached out to them and told them what our plans for Coffee PD were, that we were going to be doing sessions every Friday at 9, real kind of casual, teachers, nothing to overwhelm anybody. And they asked me, when can we get on the schedule and what can we do? And so one of the very first things that they did for us was just to go over some of the accessories that we gave to the staff. So of course, we gave styluses and earbuds to the staff. They were Apple brand. And we canceled all the other coffee PDs and just focused on that particular week. And so they both came on and showed us how to do all these things with the iPad and how to use the Apple Pencil and what the power of that was, and how to work with students on recognizing writing, turning handwriting into text, and lots of different things. So we're working with them now. I'm not going to give all my secrets away, but we're working with them now to do another session, which is going to be so cool. And that's hoping to come up in a couple of weeks, but I don't have a date nailed down for that yet. But I think the takeaway from this is that we have partnered with the education professionals from Apple to be able to directly talk to our staff in using those products that we've already purchased to the next level. And I think this next one's really going to be special. So that's it.
Also, we had Mrs. Shanti Banks. She looked at tips and strategies to make virtual learning more engaging and interactive for elementary students. We also had Faith White, our third grade teacher at Capron. She did Sit Still, Look Pretty, and it was how to make your Schoology more appealing when you come on and look at it, what you'll see and how the slides look. So they're going to gain general information within the Schoology to organize all their information for students. We had Miss Sandra Lindsay, one of our pre-K teachers at Maharan. She actually helped the teachers with creating iMovie. So if they wanted to take a virtual field trip, she could go out and do an iMovie and bring it back and show that and help the kids, teachers learn how to do that for their students. We also had a couple of sessions with our electric textbooks. We had representatives from Houghton Mifflin and Harcourt go through our electronic textbooks and then specifically delve into the specifics of each content, looking at the level readers, how it aligns with the Virginia standards, and we plan on continuing that. Also, I wanted to, before Ms. Hicks comes up with human resources, I wanted to say that we have a new training Schoology video on our website for parents, but as we've gone forward and had such success with our teachers with professional development, we're looking forward to providing more parent professional development in some of these areas such as Seesaw and more of the Schoology training and things that are engaging for their students they can do at home. Ms. Hicks?
In our human resource department, we had recruiting and hiring efforts, but prior to the COVID, as you see on your screen or either in your book, that Old Dominion all the way through to Monroeville, Maryland, Pennsylvania, the team from Southampton County Public Schools had been confirmed to go to these various colleges to do teacher recruiting. But we took the lemon and made lemonade, because what we went to next was we researched the employment platform of virtual interviews. And we had the opportunity not to go virtually to K-12 Job Spot. And on that, free of charge, and then each school division that would like to go to that website can do their interviews by setting up their actual human resource department with, you know, with their signs, with their jackets, with anything that would entice people once they go on that website to interview throughout all of those schools, districts that are there. And as we reviewed it, we had school districts, of course, from the Tidewater area, Williamsburg, Virginia Beach, and down south in North Carolina, as well as on the Eastern Shore, and in Maryland and New York. And that gave everybody an opportunity to go wherever they wanted to go. And then there you would go on the website and then interview with the school division that you would like, and then set up a time to do it. Then they would literally call you in and say, Ms. Hicks, you're confirmed to come in on November the 10th at 10 o'clock. And that's different from going to like we had already signed up before, to go to the job fairs, because you could go all over the world to interview through these top school jobs and Tech Away. And Tech Away, that's national and internationally for teachers. And then you can also go up there and you could go to the Philippines to get teachers to teach the critical courses as well. So this is the way of the future of employment, using this platform better than virtually and going to these schools divisions as well as these sites to get jobs. So we're very excited. We're investigating it and looking at how it can perhaps come to Southampton County. And then, of course, we continue drinking the lemon, but using what we have, the conventional hiring, with the application interviews. And we have Apple-Track from the Frontline, and Frontline is also one of the programs that can be utilized for this as well. And then we had virtual interviews, and of course, local division networking to continue the hiring and recruiting. And also, of course, Southampton County website and the social media. And then also with the Virginia Department of Ed, there's a teaching list of all over the country as well that you can go and pull, but you have to talk to them on the telephone to get them to come in if they're interested in your division or in Southampton County. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the school building level preliminary communication plan. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, Dr. Taylor will present our preliminary communication plan for tonight. The communication plan consists of key personnel and vital communication channels and processes that we would like parents to utilize in order to enhance quality response to communication. We believe that individuals closest to the matter should be given the respect to address a matter before progressing to the next level. We've had parents who volunteered to serve on various committees during the pandemic, and some of them will be called on to serve on our communication plan committee as well as other committees moving forward. Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. Pope, Dr. Shandon, and board members and all present. Southampton County Public Schools is in the process of developing a communication plan for the division, as Dr. Shandon stated. We are in the first stage of the plan, and we have been brainstorming ideas at the administrative level, which includes the principals. In the next couple of weeks, we plan to form a committee of teachers, parents, students, and the community to further develop what we've already started. The plan will address different modes of communication, target audiences, the flow of communication within the school system, and much more. Tonight, I'm going to present a rough draft of our preliminary ideas. At the forefront of everything that we do is the school division's vision and mission, and we've actually stated that several times. Next, we have our division goals. And then the purpose of this plan. The purpose of this actual plan is to present a clear and concise framework for communicating with our constituents. We're going to address internal and external communication. And it's a working document that will be revised and reviewed on an annual basis by the Board of Education, which is the school board once it's adopted. Looking at our target audiences, we have our internal audience, which consists of our students, our staff at both the school level and the division level, and our school board. Externally, we have parents, prospective employees, the business community, government officials, civic groups, law enforcement, faith-based groups, community groups, colleges and universities, private schools, and the media. Some of the current methods of communications that we use are printed materials. We have both internal and external manuals. We have flyers, we have newsletters. We use the division's email. We use the division website as our primary mode of marketing. We use remind.com, and we use the various social media. What we're proposing is that we have a communication flow. And that starts at the very basic level with the teachers or the staff member. Then moving on to, depending on the building level, moves to the guidance counselor, then the assistant principal or the supervisor, the principal, the central office staff, the superintendent or the designee, and then the school board. Looking further in depth at the actual communication flow, we decided to brainstorm some areas of concerns that parents or the community may have and look at the different levels of communication. So I'm going to briefly go through this chart. It's 3 slides, but it won't take me very long. Instruction, curriculum, or classroom testing. The first level would be the teacher. The second level would be the counselor. The third level would be the assistant principal. Fourth would be the principal. The fifth level would be the school board office, which our director of curriculum is that person that would be in contact with that. Sixth level, superintendent designee, and the seventh level, the Southampton County Board of Education. For athletics, we have the coach or the head coach, then the athletic director, the assistant principal, school board office, our coordinator of auxiliary services, superintendent or designee, or the Southampton, and then the Southampton County Board of Education. For special education, you'll have the teacher, which could be the regular education teacher or the special education teacher, the counselor, the assistant principal, the principal, the school board office, which would be the director of special education and student services, myself, the superintendent or the designee, the Southampton County Board of Education. For students' concerns, general concerns, or guidance concerns, you would actually go to the counselor, then the assistant principal, the principal, the school board office, the interim director of human resources, the superintendent or designee, and the Southampton County Board of Education. Classroom discipline, the teacher, then the counselor, then the assistant principal, then the principal, then the school board office, contact person, interim director of human resources, the superintendent or designee, and then the Southampton County Board of Education. Non-classroom discipline follows the exact same flow. Okay. Classroom concerns, exact same one as well. Scheduling concerns or changes starts with the counselor, and then you move to the assistant principal, director of curriculum, superintendent designee, and Board of Education. Transportation, if you're dealing with discipline, you start with the assistant principal, then the principal, then the transportation supervisor, then the school board office, which will be the coordinator of auxiliary services, superintendent or designee, Southampton Board of Education. Any permanent changes for transportation, such as address changes where the child has to be dropped off at a different location for the remainder of the school year, should start at the transportation secretary, and then the transportation supervisor, then the coordinator of auxiliary services, superintendent/designee, Board of Education. Food service issues or concerns will begin with the school cafeteria manager, assistant principal, food service supervisor, coordinator of auxiliary services, superintendent or designee, and the Board of Education, Southampton counties. Classroom technology issues will begin with the teacher, then the technology coaches, which are our ITRTs, the school administration, which could be the assistant or the assistant principal or the principal, technology department, school board office, which is the technology supervisor, superintendent or designee, and then the Board of Education. If the technology issue is related to parent access, it would also begin with the teacher, technology coach, but then it'll go to the guidance department because they often pass out different codes or anything that you need for access. Then technology department, and so on. Building facility concerns starts with the assistant principal, then the principal, then the coordinator of auxiliary services, superintendent, Board of Education. Daycare concerns would be the child care supervisor, the principal, the interim director of human resources, superintendent or designee, and then the Board of Education. School attendance, each school has an attendance clerk. Sometimes it's the secretary, sometimes it may be the guidance counselor, or whoever the principal designates. And then it would go to the counselor if that's not that person, then the principal, then a truancy officer who's at the school board office, and then after the truancy officer would be the director of special education and student services, then the superintendent or designee, and then the Board of Education. Health-related concerns may or may not start with the teacher. Most of the time they would start with the nurse. We put the teacher there just in case. Then the assistant principal, then the principal, interim director of human resources, superintendent designee, and Board of Education. And then state testing, teacher, counselor, assistant principal, principal, director of special education and student services, superintendent designee, and Board of Education. This is very preliminary, and as we form our committee, we're probably going to add many, many more concerns, or we may delete. We also brainstormed some goals and strategies for internal and external. So for internal, we're looking at teachers, and we believe that we need to utilize timely communication with the staff in the buildings. And we can do that by doing weekly memos, faculty meetings, grade level meetings, emails, and remind. For the school board, we believe that we need to update the school board on pertinent matters related to the division goals. And we can do that by providing monthly updates at the school board meeting, and the superintendent and designee would do that. For students, we want to provide them with an opportunity to voice their opinions. And for that, we're going to maintain and improve the Superintendent Student Advisory Council and also utilize Schoology. For students also, we want to communicate their academic and behavioral progress in a timely manner using Remind, Schoology, or the phone. Now, externally, parents, we also want to utilize timely and efficient communication with parents. So when we were brainstorming, we proposed returning phone calls and emails within 2 working days. Again, this is preliminary. When we get our committee together, they may say, that's too much time, too little time. So we'll talk about that. Also, we want to develop a process for tracking, monitoring, and responding to concerns. And we're going to continue with our electronic communication tools. We, of course, have Remind, Power School, Instant Alert, and social media. For the community, we want to engage in 2-way communication, facilitate connections among the stakeholder groups, expand on our key communication initiatives, and build and maintain partnership with business and community leaders. And we are going to continue our electronic communication tools for all of the stakeholders. And lastly, we have the media. We want to use electronic, print, and mass media tools to publicize our school good news, events, activities, and awards. We also want to maintain effective media relationship plan that enhances the district's image in the community. We can share information through press releases, briefings, photo opportunities, invite the press into our schools and campuses to cover events, encourage our staff to submit articles and photos to newspaper, respond in a timely manner to the media when they make inquiries, and the superintendent serves as a division spokesperson. Also, we want to strengthen our external partnerships, and this is a list of all of our external partners that we have currently, and I read that list earlier in an earlier slide. And we did want to let you know that in the next 30 days or so, we're going to be developing some more advisory committees, parent advisory, teacher advisory, community advisories. Any questions? Thank you all so much.
The next item on the agenda is the virtual handbook. Dr. Shannon.
The virtual handbook will be shared by Ms. Kelly Gillette tonight. The virtual handbook has been disseminated publicly, and it was mentioned earlier this year. So tonight we just thought that we would highlight a few areas within our virtual handbook.
Good evening again. So I'm going to go over just some highlights of the virtual instructional manual that Dr. Shannon mentioned. You all have a copy of the manual on your board docs, and it is on the division website. It's been over there for over a month. So when we look at the manual, we want to look at the purpose. So, you know, as we've created the continuity of learning plan for instruction to provide new instruction and make sure that we're following the objectives and content for the curriculum framework, that students are able to access grade level and age appropriate subject matter. This manual details components and expectations for our virtual learning model. So within our objectives, we're going to mitigate the impact or disruption of learning as a result of the limited traditional learning space. Since we're not in school, we want to limit the amount of difference in a virtual. I know that's hard to do, but we're doing our best. We're going to implement a plan that shows synchronous and asynchronous learning. We know with synchronous that it is face-to-face with the teacher, it's live, where asynchronous learning is where students work on assignments that are given to them. With virtual instruction, all lessons will be purposeful, specific, and focused on specific target goals as aligned with the VDOE standards and curriculum framework. The grading policies will reflect Southampton County Public Schools grading policies with clear expectations for each class, subject, and content. Teachers will have specific schedules that they follow. Teachers will, in grades pre-K through 12, will have online instruction through Schoology. And school administrators and teachers will work with students who are unable to access information using the online format. Because we do recognize that some students are having difficulty with connecting to the internet, so we're working with them on a one-to-one, one-on-one basis. Also with our virtual instruction, the division technology staff will be available to provide training and assist students, parents, and teachers with using the Schoology platform, as we mentioned in the instructional report. So again, teachers will have specific schedules where they conduct the virtual lessons with students. Teachers will collaborate with each other, participate in staff meetings, and they'll engage in division professional development. Teachers will be based at their home school to provide the instruction and resources. Also in the manual, it has listed expectations for teachers, which include academic procedures, instructional practices, communication, providing feedback, and monitoring. It has expectations for students when looking at completing assignments and attendance, where they attend which session they've chosen. We have expectations for parents. We encourage them to register for Schoology account for themselves, and also encourage their students and monitor their students or their children. Technology, we keep mentioning Schoology, our online platform. That's where our communication is. We're committed to providing the digital resources. We also have in the manual the guidelines for using the equipment with safety and care, and also how to locate support from our IT people. At the end of our manual, there is a sheet for students to look at. It has the responsibilities and for students and parents to follow. Again, that's just a brief overview of the virtual meeting.
Any questions, comments, for either Dr. Shannon or Ms. Gillette? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the broadband. We know that COVID has really made clear what we call the digital divide. A recent report by the State Council of Higher Education talked about thinking about the digital divide as having two parts. The first part is making sure that students have devices, making sure that they have tablets or laptops. And of course, when we talk about having devices, we don't include cell phones when we talk about devices suitable for doing academic work. The second part of the digital divide is access. And access becomes a community issue. Because when we talk about access, we're talking about really broadband access. We're talking about access at a specific speed. So even though the school district can provide devices to try to help with access, we realize that access, broadband access, becomes a community concern. I think there's a report that shows that about 1/3 of the households in Southampton County do not have access to broadband. So what we can do as a school district is try to provide devices to give students access. But the permanent solution is a county solution, which is broadband access. So for that reason, we have on our agenda an update on county broadband. Dr. Shannon?
Thank you, Dr. Goodwin. Mr. Bill Hatch, our supervisor of technology, and also our in-house computer scientist, and I'm not sure if many people realize that he has a computer science degree, but our computer scientist will make a presentation to our school board tonight on the progress of broadband internet access within our county. He has been in communication with Mr. Jay Grinchick, and Mr. Jay Grinchick is the president and CEO of the Franklin Southampton County Economic Development Council. So, Mr. Hatch.
Hello again. As Dr. Goodwin said, I'm kind of pitch hitting. As Dr. Shannon said, I'm kind of pitch hitting tonight for Jay Brunichik. Jay, I asked him to come and do the presentation tonight, and he told me that I could share with you that he could not come because he has tested positive for COVID. And so I told him that we would love to have him at our December meeting so that he could go over what they've been doing so far. But he also then informed me that he and his wife have decided to return to Maine, where they're from, to be with their family. And he has resigned his position effective the end of this month with Franklin Southampton Economic Development. And so he wouldn't be able to come to our December meeting either. And so I'm going to do the best I can, having talked to him a little bit on the phone, and listened to his presentations that he's given to the Board of Supervisors. But he was, ill when I talked to him, so I didn't want to keep him on the phone very long. So I will try to give as accurate as information as I can. So the first thing is, let's define the problem. So what's the problem that we have here? The problem is that there's a lack of wired internet service to rural homes and businesses. So when I say wired broadband services or internet service, what do I mean? So most of us, like I do, have maybe our experience with that is a cable modem. We maybe have Charter and we have coax that comes into our house and gives us TV, and we hook a cable modem up to that. That's broadband over coax, directly wired. DSL is another technology that is done typically by the phone company. You have to live within a certain radius of the local central office to be able to get DSL. That's delivered over, directly connected, but over phone lines. Direct fiber to the house or the business, probably the most famous example of that, something they advertise on TV a lot that we see around here, is Verizon Fios, or Cox has a cable direct fiber optic connection service that they sell. And the other one that's gaining a little bit of popularity is broadband over power lines. And this is a technology that allows you to connect a device to an outlet in your house, and it sends signals back and forth between the device that you connect and your electrical service provider, and those signals are sent over your utility, your electricity utility. So those are wired. There's a direct connection from the internet straight to your house over some sort of hard wire. The problem is that that's very expensive to provide. The infrastructure to put something like that in requires poles, it requires wire, it requires a lot of times digging, burying, missing other utilities, property rights, legal disputes, right-of-ways over railroads. There's a lot of things that are really involved in actually making physical wired connections. And so it's only really worthwhile for somebody to do that when there's a particular population density. And so a neighborhood or something like that would have enough population for, say, a charter to want to run coax cable to it. But one house way down the road around the corner on a big farm is not going to be the kind of population density that an internet service provider is going to need to return profit back on the investment of the infrastructure. And so the sought after solution for a lot of people that are now realizing, hey, we live in a rural environment, but we also want to participate in high-speed internet activities. The sought after solution is a wireless solution, because no big infrastructure to every house. But that presents another problem, which is the lack of reliable wireless service to rural homes and businesses. Now, these are my slides, not Jay's. So I created this so I could kind of go over, what are the issues that we're dealing with here. So when you have a county like Southampton that only has a few towers scattered here and there, the lack of the number of towers creates a long distance sometimes between the house and the tower, and it can create low signal strength. The closer you are to the tower, the better signal you get, the faster internet you get. I'll never forget the day Will and I rode out to Drewville, and we had our phones. We were sitting at the ballpark in Drewville, testing out internet, trying to see, where we were going to park buses and all this when we first got started doing virtual. And we were getting the greatest internet service. I hope I'm not giving away the best kept secret in Southampton County, but I've never gotten internet service that fast on a mobile device in my life. Sitting in Drewville. And I said, well, there's got to be a tower around here somewhere. I can't see it, but I know it's got to be here, because these kind of speeds only come when you're sitting right underneath the tower. And sure enough, we pulled out on 58, you could see it right there. So the closer you are to the tower, the better speed you get. We have towers scattered. We have houses scattered. So we have houses that are far away from towers. Not only that, but each tower doesn't just sit there and do something by itself. It has to be connected to the wired infrastructure that I just went over. So you've got to actually build infrastructure, wired infrastructure out to that tower, and then put your wireless signals on it, and have that propagate to the homes. Now, the problem of rural access to high-speed internet is not exclusive to Southampton. In fact, every county in the whole Commonwealth of Virginia has this problem if they have any rural areas. It is also not exclusive to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Everybody, every state, and I imagine lots of countries in the world, have this same type of problem. So let's talk about some wireless technologies. I mean, if the sought-after solution is wireless technologies, let's kind of talk about what it is that someone could potentially provide. So first, 3G technology. This technology is old and slow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it is actually being deactivated by most of the people that provide this service. In fact, Verizon has targeted several times and changed the date, but right now, 3G is going away on a Verizon platform the end of next month. So if you have a 3G phone, you're not going to be able to use that phone. You have to have a 4G device, and you won't have any 3G data service. You'll only be able to get 4G service. The next one, of course, I've already mentioned 4G. Now, a signal on a 4G tower typically goes several miles. It's a better signal and faster speeds. Like I said, the closer you are to the tower, which means that if you're going to cover a wide area, the more towers you have, the better. Now, there have been some improvements in 4G lately with newer channels, more frequencies added. Some of those signals can vary a lot and are a lot affected by more or less, depending on the type of signals, by building materials, the speeds you get inside, which is kind of what we're talking about, right? When we talk about students, we want them to be inside doing virtual learning. The signals that you get inside can sometimes be a whole lot different than what you'll get outside. And everybody will probably not. I know Denise will, because she's had to go around her house and put base stations up in windows, and I remember those days, well, try the east window, Denise. So, so you've got a lot of people who have to find a good spot in their house. You know why it is? Because the building materials are causing interference with the signal. Metal roofs, bricks are particularly bad. The weather, of course, can affect it, and even vegetation. We get better internet in the winter than we do in the summer because there's no leaves on the trees. Sometimes you can use antennas and boosters. They'll help sometimes, particularly if you use a large antenna or something that's outside. So I guess you're also probably thinking, well, Bill, why are you not talking about 5G? I mean, that's really all I see on the TV these days is Verizon's got the best 5G and Sprint's got the best 5G and everybody's got the best 5G. But the problem with 5G technology is it's very fast, of course, but the range is very limited. That's the way they get those speeds. You have to be close to the tower. And so 5G is really good in a city where you might put a tower on top of every other building or every third building, and you can cover a large area of 5G. But 5G is not going to take a tower that's sitting, say, in the middle of Sedley. It's not going to go very far. And so it's not going to be something that you're going to reach a lot of houses with. And so 5G, as it's implemented right now, is really not the type of service that someone would be looking to put in to go in a wide area. It's also affected by the same types of signals and trees and materials. And I don't think that a rural county like ours is going to see 5G implemented for quite a long time. There's also, most of the devices that use 5G are pretty new. They're just coming out in the last month or two. I know Apple released their iPhone a few weeks ago. It does work great when you're in a place though. I've seen it. So here's another technology that a lot of people have tried, satellite technology. The biggest problem with using satellite technology is something that we call network latency. And what latency is the time that it takes for the signal to travel from the client, that is the computer or the iPhone or the iPad, to the server and back. And when you use satellite technology, the path requires it to go up into space, back down to Earth, over to the server, come back into space, and back down to Earth. And it creates a lot of delay, latency. And when you're trying to do something very live, like talk directly video conferencing, when you have something that's a lot of latency, that's when the signal gets jittery. And that's when, I will tell you that when we first started handing out MiFis, a very large percentage of the people that requested MiFis had satellite internet service, but it was not usable. And they would call up and they would say, hey, I've got internet service, but I just can't get it to work with Schoology. My kid cannot video conference with it. No surprise, latency. And so anybody who had HughesNet or Viasat and requested a MiFi, we're like, oh yeah, you definitely need it, because we knew what they were dealing with. The current satellites that are used by something like HughesNet and Viasat are approximately 22,200 miles above the Earth. And that's quite a distance for that signal to travel 4 different times. So that's the reason that you see so much latency in satellite. Not only that, there's a lot of users of satellite and not that many satellites. This kind of satellite internet service can be quite expensive and very slow. There are speed caps and also data caps. That is, you can only go this fast and you can only use this much data every month. Latency for a typical satellite is around 500 to 600 milliseconds. Today, I pinged Google and Yahoo from Scott's computer actually, and it was 29 milliseconds. That's the typical latency that we would see on a wired network connection. So 29 versus 500, you begin to see, how this really works out. However, that being said, that satellite technology is not a viable solution. There is an emerging technology I wanted to bring up tonight, really, really new, just came out, not even available to the public yet, called Starlink. This is a satellite technology that has been launched by SpaceX. As you may know, that's the company that is owned by Tesla owner Elon Musk. They are using their SpaceX rockets to launch their own satellites into space. Those satellites are actually put into orbit about 324 miles above the Earth. So you can see that's quite a lot closer than 22,000 miles above the Earth. And their latency is about 75 milliseconds, which is not bad. And their speeds are pretty fast too, for the testing that they're doing right now. It's in beta test. They've got some people who are using it and testing it out. Hopefully this will be something that we can look at down the road for places that don't have broadband connectivity or access to 4G technology. But like I said, this is something new that is just coming out. So, what is the county doing? The county has asked Franklin Southampton Economic Development to put together some grants and look at doing a project to begin to put broadband throughout the county. And I went through all those different technologies and took a long time explaining that because I wanted you to understand that the county is looking to put a tower and some 4G, I think, technology that they would be able to use to support different areas in the county that are not currently covered by other providers. They're doing this by using some resources from Commonwealth Connect. Commonwealth Connect is a government group that has, in conjunction with the Governor's Office, the Center of Innovation Technology, and the Development of Housing and Community Development. And they're using some resources there to try to get this project off the ground. They're partnering with some local communities. Of course, why would they be partnering with surrounding areas? Because wireless signal doesn't stop at the border of Southampton and not bleed over in the Isle of Wight. So They're partnering with Suffolk, Alawite, other localities around. They also have to partner with service providers. And so this particular partnership is with Charter Spectrum, but some of the other people that they're partnering with, Dominion Energy, Community Electric, those are the two people that provide electricity, utility to Southampton County. Prince George Electric Cooperative is one of those people that provides broadband over power. So that's an interesting partnership there. And some other wireless providers that they provide. So they have these partners. Those people have gotten together and they have selected a site to do their first project on. That site was determined by working with Charter and its teams, the electric cooperatives, of course the Commonwealth's Connect team, and fiscal considerations about how much this project was going to cost. The project cost that they're talking about is roughly almost $800,000. A lot of that's coming from a grant, and then the service provider, which in this case is Charter, matches that grant with almost $160,000, making the cost to the county basically nothing. They're going to have to run 25 miles of new infrastructure, that is wired infrastructure. And once the project is done, it's going to be serving 179 homes and businesses. And they estimate that it's going to take 18 months to complete that project. The project location is basically the intersection of Mission Church Road and Unity Road. So if you look at the map I have up there, you can see, let's see if I can make this pointer work. You can see right here on the left-hand side, that road coming up is Johnson's Mill Road, basically the road that goes through downtown Sedley. The other road is Drake Road, Mission Church Road, and the road that goes this way is Unity. So they've identified this area as a place desperately needing service and a place that Charter can run cable out to. I hear some people behind me, I know people that live out that way. And they will tell you that it is true, they definitely need it. And I will tell you, as the head of technology for the school division, a lot of my fire requests have come from those houses out there. And some of our biggest challenges with those MiFis have also come from that area of the county. So in picking that area of the county, I think they did a pretty good job of figuring out where the hot spot was. And so hopefully they'll be able to get their funding, and hopefully they'll be able to get their project underway. And I think the goal for them is to try to launch that project in early 2021. And then I think, as you saw, it was 18 months until completion. So here it is, develop a comprehensive plan, research the grant, and then begin phase 1 project build out in 2021. This slide is one that Jay finishes his presentation with saying, how long does he think it's going to take to get this type of project everywhere that there's a need for this type of project in the county. And assuming they can keep the money, get the money, and the projects can keep going, he estimates that it could take 3 to 5 years for that type of coverage to happen in the county. But given the complexities in doing so, it could take longer. All right, are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hatch, board members? Thank you. The next item on the agenda, student enrollment and student teacher attendance, Dr. Shannon.
Yes, our student enrollment, exclusive of preschool that were enrolled. So Nottoway receives that award. And then for teacher attendance, the award goes to Capron Elementary School. Theirs was 99.06%. So congratulations to Nottoway Elementary School for their student participation, as well as congratulations to Capron Elementary for the teacher participation.
Thank you. Also want to thank all of you who paid tribute to Dr. Motlin as you came up to present tonight. That's very special. Thank you. She is in our hearts, and we're thinking about her and her family. We have no matters from the board, so pursuant to section 2.2-3711A, 1 and 2 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, the board, upon a motion and a second, will convene in a closed meeting to consider personnel and student matters for the 2020 and 2021 school year. Do we have such a motion? Was that a motion by Ms. Lopez? Second by Ms. Roundtree. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Within board members, I will see you in the library in a few minutes, and then we will conduct our closed session.